Tim Rood, chairman of the Collingwood Group, joining us now. Tim, my coughing aside, you'll forgive me. Where is the demand coming? Diana said Generation Xers no. Yeah. So where is it coming from?
Well, it's funny. I mean, the Generation Xers, and maybe Diana and I can join a group session or something on the topic. As a Gen Xer, I can tell you firsthand how that story played out. And it's really been an unexplored topic in terms of the cohorts. We know about the folks that want to move down or retire. We know about the millennials. But really, it was the Gen Xers that went headlong into a buzzsaw that were buying through the 2000s up until about 2005. And a lot of us are really sold on that concept that said, hey, look, I know you took it in the teeth back in that whole .com thing, but, you know, those .com things, those were intangibles. We're talking about real estate. You can't go wrong with real estate. Buy your second home first. I mean, we all got kind of hoodwinked. I'm still not talking to my realtor that I bought a house from in 2006, and she lives like 2 blocks from me.
I mean, you really can't blame them, can you? I mean, they were burned big time, right?
Well, we were burned twice.
Burned twice.
You know, everybody's moaning and groaning about millennials, but I think Tim brings up a great point.
Our generation was...
We got burned in the stock market in 2000. We're about 30 years old, putting money to work. Boom, wiped out.
Right.
Then we go into housing, buy at 8 times income. Boom,
just after you
out.
Built up again, and then, okay, I'm going to finally, like, invest in some bricks and mortar, buy my first house, and boom, you're burnt out again. But what about the millennials? Are they scared by having seen that happen to the, I don't want to say older generation, but, you know, the older generation?
That's us now.
That's us.
I think that's been kind of the red herring, is that the millennials don't appear to be culturally against home ownership. They seem to be trending the same as they were 30 years ago in terms of their bias towards it. What's killing them is 2 things: demographics, credit, all right, a third thing, capacity. So the demographics, they're getting married, they're starting households later, they're getting married later, they're having kids later, and as your guest before just indicated, you're seeing a lot fewer non-Hispanic whites, which is predominantly the highest concentration of buyers in the marketplace. The second and third thing is credit. Lenders are so tight on credit because the government has been so heavy-handed on the enforcement of manufacturing defects and defaults. And the third is the capacity. You know, these guys, the millennials, have about an 8% unemployment rate or higher. They're saddled with high student loans and et cetera, and it's just hard for them to...
You know, and it's interesting about housing, Tim, is that it truly is a trickle-up economy. The first-time buyer at the bottom of the scale is perhaps the most important buyer in the whole process, because if that person can't move from renter to buyer, then the person that's trying to sell their home and move up themselves, they can't go anywhere, or they're sitting on 2 mortgages, which for most people is unacceptable.
There's no doubt, yeah. So certainly they're the ones driving the demand. They create the opportunity for the Gen Xers to sell and then to move up. So they're critical. And remember that it's that home buying, particularly on the new home purchase, that is so critical to GDP, that new home construction, all of the services and the demands that happen after the purchase drive GDP, up to about 20% of GDP.
It's a big chunk. Tim, thank you very much for joining us. Not necessarily with good news, but thank you for joining us anyway.
My pleasure.
All right, well.